Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. We cover everything Major League, from spring training to the World Series. We've got your favorite club covered, from New York to Boston to LA. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast.
What is up? Welcome into the GSMC Baseball Podcast. It is a Friday, and I am Tom Dougherty. Of course, this podcast is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. As always, we are going to start off the show today with a recap of the games from Wednesday and Thursday before we do a little talk on David Price. A little talk on the Pirates. The hot Pirates still holding off the Brewers right now for first place in the NL Central. Remember, this is the Pirates team that had a kind of a fire sale. Well, not kind of a fire sale. They had a fire sale during the offseason, and then their fans were up in arms, and everybody was like, oh, they're giving up. They're tanking. We're going to finally get tanking in baseball. Well, it's not finally, actually. The Astros did it like 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row, and they won the World Series last year. So it actually kind of works in baseball, too. But yeah, no, the Pirates are actually not tanking. They're in first place right now. Coming into play today on a Friday, they're 26-17. So one more win and they'd be 10 games over 500, which is exactly where you want to be at all times during the season. I love that 10 games over 500 is the mark that I like to get to if for any team that I want to succeed. All right, as we're going to jump right into it for the games on Wednesday, we're going to start with the game in Detroit, Cleveland, and the Tigers, Indians and Tigers. In Detroit, it was a shutout victory for Trevor Bauer. He didn't go the distance, but he went 8 innings. He was close as Cody Allen came in and got the last 3 outs in the 9th. But he went 8 innings of shutout ball, 4 hits, 10 strikeouts, no walks for Bauer. He got his 3rd win on the year. And like I said, Cody Allen gets the no save opportunity, but he got the last 3 outs in the 9th. Michael Brantley hit his 6th home run of the year in that game. Over to Baltimore, interleague action, Phillies and Orioles. Nick Pivetta pitched very well, went 7 innings, allowed 1 run on 2 hits, 1 walk, 11 strikeouts. Did give up a home run to Adam Jones in the first inning. That was his 7th, and that was the only run that Pivetta would yield in that game. Carlos Hernandez hit his 6th or 5th home run of the year for the Cesar Hernandez. That is, hit his 6th home run of the year or 5th home run of the year for the Phillies. All right, next up, we're gonna go. Like I said, we're gonna go to Pittsburgh Pirates. Still hot. This is game. They won 3 in a row. They won yesterday, 2 on Thursday. Their win again on Wednesday. The game before that against the White Sox, 3-2. Jimmy Santayon came back after that laceration on his finger that cut his last outing short. He came back and went 5 2/3 innings, allowed 2 runs on 5 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts to give up a couple home runs. It was all these new young players on the White Sox. It's tough to keep them all straight here. Who is the home runs for? They have all the Garcias out there in the outfield. It was Lurie Garcia hit his 2nd of the year. And then the shortstop for Yolmer Sanchez for the White Sox hit his 2nd of the year as well, both off of Tyone. And that was the only runs the White Sox would get in this one as the Pirates come back in this one. Well, they were down 1-0 going into the bottom of the 2nd. They scored 2 in the bottom of the 2nd. White Sox tied it up, and the Pirates scored a run in the 7th inning to take the lead. That was on a Josh Bell single in the 7th to take the lead. In Minnesota, the Cardinals beat the Twins by 2. 7-5 was the final in this one, as it was a Tommy Pham home run in the 8th inning that put the Cardinals up enough. I mean, they were up enough already. I think it was they were up by 6. It was 6-3, and then that made it 7-3. The Twins did get 2 runs in the bottom half of that 8th inning, but not enough to come back in this one as they drop it at home to the Cardinals 7-5. All right, to New York, Twins get beat up by the Blue Jays in this one, 12-1. Jay Happ, an excellent pitching performance for the Blue Jays. He went 7 shutout innings, allowed only 2 hits, struck out 10 in his outing. Very nice sign for Jay Happ. Gets his 5th win on the year. Zach Wheeler did not pitch well for the Mets as he got roughed up in 4 innings of work. Allowed 6 runs on 7 hits, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, 2 home runs given up, 1 to Justin Smoak. And the other one was by the right fielder for the Blue Jays. That is Toscar Hernandez. Hit his that was his 7th of the year for the Blue Jays. All right, next, moving on over to Kansas City. The Royals dropped the game at home to the Rays as it was Hamill for the Royals, but he could not stymie the Rays as he went 6 innings, allowed 5 runs on 10 hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts. Did give up a home run to C.J. Cron, his 10th. It was Faria for the White Sox. For the White Sox, for the Rays. Jake Faria only went 4 1/3 innings, so no decision there as he went allowed 3 runs on 4 hits, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts. The bullpen came in and held the line for the Rays to get them the win there. In Arizona, the Brewers beat up on the Diamondbacks. It was Woodruff against Cook. Woodruff gets the win for the Brew Crew in 5 innings, allowed 2 runs on 1 hit, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts, did give up a home run. This one to Daniel Descalzo, his 5th. But the Brewers came with their bats as well, as it was a home run fest for them. Travis Shaw hit his 10th. Domingo Santana hit his 2nd of the year. Christian Yelich hit his 4th. And then Tyler Saladino hit his 2nd of the year for the Brew Crew as they go home run derby in Arizona and win this one 8-2. In Seattle, that is, Texas beats the Rangers 5-1. Bartolo Colon, the ageless wonder, gets his 2nd win on the year, goes 7 2/3 shutout innings, allowed 4 hits, 3 strikeouts, no walks for Colon as his ERA still sitting at a nice cool 2.82 for the season, outdueling Bergman for the Seattle Mariners, who also pitched very well, went 7 innings, allowed no runs on 2 hits, 5 strikeouts. Who actually pitched a little bit better than Cologne, gave up less hits, but it was the bullpen for the Rangers for the Mariners that gave that one up. In this one, only home run in the game was a Kyle Seager solo homer, his 8th of the year. That was in the 9th inning, the only run for the Mariners in that game. All right, next up, in South Beach in Miami, the Dodgers could not come back to beat the Marlins in this one, as they tried hard. But it was the Marlins who edged them 6-5. The Dodgers did get 6 runs in the 6th inning to make it 5-5, but then the Marlins scored 1 in the bottom of the 6th inning to retake the lead. I believe it was a JT Realmuto home run that broke the tie. And this one, yeah, indeed, it was a JT off of Pedro Baez. Realmuto hit his 6th of the year to give him the 6-5 lead, and that was the final score. Justin Bour hit his 9th of the year. Yasmani Grandal hit his 7th of the season. And this one, actually, it was a pretty good pitching performance from Hernandez for the Marlins. He went 5 innings. That's Eliezer Hernandez. He went 5 innings, allowed 1 run on 3 hits, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. That home run he did give up to Grandal. And then Walker Buehler got roughed up a little bit, not too bad, but he went 5 innings, allowed 4 earned runs, 5 total on 7 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. He gave up the home run to Justin Bour before he was removed from the game. In Boston, the Red Sox salvaged 1 game against the A's at home, and this one, as it was Chris Sale against Trevor Cahill. Sale went 5 innings, allowed 2 runs on 2 hits, 4 walks, 9 strikeouts, to give a home run to Trevor Simeon. And this one, Trevor Cahill went 5 innings, allowed 3 runs on 5 hits, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Did give up a home run to J.D. Martinez, his 12th. Xander Bogaerts hit his 5th of the year, 3-run shot that actually was really the deciding factor in this game. Matt Joyce hit a solo shot, and then Olsen also hit his 6th of the year off of Craig Kimbrell, a solo shot as well. Joyce, that was his 5th on the season. but the Red Sox get the win there. As it was that big home run from Bogaerts made it 6-2. A's came back with 2 more home runs of their own, but it was both solo shots, not enough to get back in that game. In Atlanta, the Braves beat the Cubs 4-1 behind a nice pitching performance from Brandon McCarthy, when 6 innings allowed 1 run on 5 hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, outdueling Tyler Chatwood, who went 5 1/3 innings, allowed 1 run on 4 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and no homers in this game in Atlanta, which is surprising with these 2 lineups in that ballpark. But no, it was the Braves who win this one 4-1. The Braves only had... everybody at the top of their lineup. No, it was Albies, Acuna, and Freeman all had 2 hits. Flowers had 1. That was it, but that was enough for the Braves as they used the top of that lineup to get everything get it done. They also scored 2 runs on bases loaded walks as well, as the Cubs bullpen was having trouble throwing strikes. In Houston, the Astros shut out the Angels in this one 2-0. Evan Gattis hit a home run that was the only offense in the game. It was a 2-run shot for Gattis as he finally has kind of found his stroke. Took him a little bit to get going this season. But it was a Verlander start for the Astros as he goes and outduels Garrett Richards. Verlander pitched a shutout, complete game shutout for Verlander, 9 innings, no runs, 5 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. So a 5-hit shutout for Verlander. Richards also pitched pretty well. Both his runs were unearned. Went 7 innings, allowed no earned runs, 2 unearned, 4 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts to give up the home run to Gattis. All right. And then the Nationals and Yankee game was postponed. They weren't even able to finish the game from the day before either. So there were some bad weather in our nation's capital there. So they'll have to make that up somehow somewhere around the year. All right, on Thursday, shortened slate as only a couple of, not quite a handful, but a little bit, not the full slate as we usually see on the normal days. As remember, teams Mondays and Thursdays are the days when teams take off days. As we'll start, actually, did I forget one game? Oh, of course, I forgot the Giants game because they lost. Sorry, it's a little bit of upsetness right there. Giants did lose on Wednesday. The Reds beat them to salvage a game in that series. It was a bullpen game. Reds got 4 runs in the first. Giants came back with 2, but that was as they only got 1 more after that. It was a 6-3 victory for the Reds. They got home runs from Adam Duvall and Scooter Gennett. Duvall his 8th, a 3-run shot, and Gennett his 7th, a solo homer, as the Reds win that one 6-3. All right. Quickly, we're going to do a couple games before we take a quick break and then come back for the second segment and finish off these games from Thursday. I do want to see how many games were on this Thursday. It was a 10 game slate, so yeah, just a little bit less. Giants could not come back against the Rockies. They lose this one in 12 as the Rockies scored 2 in the top of the 12th to win. It was 5-3 was the final in this one. So it was a bullpen game. McGee gets the win. Pierce Johnson the loss. Dodgers shut out the Marlins. Kenta Maeda was excellent in this one. Marlins win 7-0 down in South Beach as they salvage a game in that series, having some trouble against some of the teams in the cellar, the Dodgers are. But Maeda went 8 shutout innings, allowed two hits on and no walks, 8 strikeouts for Maeda. He was excellent in this one. Kenley Jansen came in and pitched in the 9th. Gave up a couple hits, but ended up striking out the side to end the game there for the Marlins. Dodgers got a home run from Yasiel Puig, his 3rd. In Pittsburgh, the Pirates beat the Padres 5-4 as the Padres try to come back. They did actually tie the game in the 5th inning, or take the lead in the 5th inning. Pirates came back, tied it up in the bottom of the 5th, and scored a run in the 7th to take the lead. And they did not relinquish it. It was a Corey Dickerson he did not get a run. It doesn't get an RBI because it was an error by the third baseman. Polanco scored on the error by Christian Villanueva, who you want to have him in the lineup. He's a great bat, but he's definitely lacked with the glove quite a bit. It was a Chad Kuhl start, only lasted 4 1/3 innings, allowed 4 runs on 6 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. And then Lauer, kind of the same thing, almost the exact same line. 4 2/3 innings, 4 runs on 6 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts for Lauer for the Padres. A's beat up on the Blue Jays 10-5. A's, they just hit. The A's can hit. They have a bunch of big bats in that lineup. A lot of good young stars, and they go into that. They go north of the border, and they let loose as Chris Davis hit his 13th of the year, Olsen his 7th, and Matt Chapman his 8th. That was a 2-run shot for Chapman, and actually Olsen was a 3-runner, and then Chris Davis hit a 2-runner as well. So the A's knocking the ball around the park there in Toronto as they get to win there 10-5. Here's Mero Petit with the win, his first of the year. Red Sox beat the Orioles 6-2. As this will be the last game before we go to the break really quick here. It was a home run. J.D. Martinez goes deep again. He got his 13th of the year. Xander Bogaerts hits his 6th. As David Price goes the distance, 9 innings on 2 runs on 5 hits, no walks, 8 strikeouts. Did give up a home run to Manny Machado. The only 2 runs he gave up. Those were actually both in the 9th inning. He had a shutout going before Machado took him deep, and fortunately for him, it was Alex Cora let him finish that game off, and he got the shutout victory. All right, we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back with the rest of the games, and then I'll talk about David Price a little bit to finish out this second segment. Finish out the second segment. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
All right, welcome back to GSMC Baseball Podcast. We're coming right back with the rest of the games here. On Thursday, it was in St. Louis. It was Phillies and Cardinals, and the Phillies get the win behind a nice performance from Vince Velasquez. The final was 6-2. Velasquez goes 6 1/3 shutout innings, allowed 5 hits on 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, and pitched very nicely. The Phillies get home runs from Carlos Santana, his 8th, and Pedro Flormon, his 1st of the year, actually, as they got a little extra run there in the 9th inning, couple runs in the 9th inning. Actually, the Phillies were leading this game 1-0 most of the game. They got a run in the 5th, then they got 3 in the top of the 8th to make it 4-0. The St. Louis did get 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th as well, as I believe it was a run scoring single by Jed Jerko that knocked in the second run of that one for the Cardinals. They gave up a home run, but the Phillies were able to pull that one out in St. Louis. Rangers could not come back and beat the White Sox. They tried, but they actually were leading this game the most of it before the White Sox scored 4 in the bottom of the 8th inning to get the win or get the lead and take it and not relinquish it. A couple of bases loaded walk, couple singles, and an error really was that disastrous bottom of the 8th inning for the Rangers with a 2-run lead. James Shields was given up taken off the hook when those runs were scored. He went 7 1/3 inning, allowed 1 run on 3 hits, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts. Almost was a tough luck loser in this one, but his offense came in clutch just at the right moment. Doug Fister gets a tough luck no decision as he pitched very nicely. Went 7 shutout innings, allowed 6 hits, no walks, 4 strikeouts for Fister. Rays beat the Angels in Anaheim 7-1. It was a nice pitching performance from Chris Archer, finally, as he kind of looking forward to find his groove. Went 6 2/3 innings, allowed no runs on 2 hits, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts for Archer. It was the pitch count that probably ended up taking him out. He could not finish the 7th inning. But he gets the win, his 3rd of the year, as the Angels, the only run they scored was a Shohei Ohtani solo homer in the 9th inning, his 6th of the year for them. Tyler Skaggs pitched very nicely as well for the Angels, but he gets the loss as he went 6 innings, allowed 1 run on 6 hits, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. Did give up a home run to C.J. Cron. His 11th. Denard Span went deep off of Jim Johnson. His 4th. Fields went deep. He went his 3rd of the year. That was a 2-run homer for him. All right. A couple more games here, or one more game actually, before I give my thoughts on David Price. It was a 3-2 win for the Tigers in Seattle. They beat the Mariners late in this one, as it was a 2-run lead for the Mariners going into the 8th inning before the Tigers scored 2 in the top of the 8th to take the lead. A lead they did not give up. Jose Iglesias 2-run single in this one in that 8th inning to give the Tigers the lead. Nice pitching performance from Marco Gonzalez, as he goes 5 2/3 innings, allows no earned runs, one unearned run, 5 hits, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts for him. No decision, as it was the bullpen who kind of gave this one up. Boyd pitched nicely also for the Tigers, went 6 innings, allowed 2 runs on 6 hits, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts for him. That's Matthew Boyd, the left-hander for the Tigers. All right. That'll wrap it up for the games. We had I think another game was rained out today. Yeah, it was the Braves and the Cubs game was postponed on Thursday as well. So they'll have to do yet another makeup game for that series. The Cubs and Braves can't seem to finish up a series. I remember they did a makeup game in Chicago actually on Tuesday. I make that on Monday, game they had to make up from Jackie Robinson Day when that game was rained out at Wrigley Field. They made it up on Monday, and I'll have to make up another one now, as the game on Thursday was not able to be played. All right. David Price, what a guy. Goes pitched very nicely, obviously. I mean, it was against the Orioles. The Orioles lineup is a little not really the one you want to write home about, but it was really interesting to see, because I mean he's a guy who was having the carpal tunnel issues. He couldn't play, was playing too many video games, whatever it was. He couldn't stay healthy. I mean this is the favorite, the guy that these Boston media guys love to write about, because he's this low hanging fruit most of the time. And finally he showed up and showed out, got his 4th win on the year, but still at ERA sitting at 4.38. He needs to get that lower if he is going to be. Well, I think he'll be fine, but he'll have to do better to get it lower, obviously, and to be maybe looking a little better in the eye of the Boston sports writer. He'll have to do that as well, because they don't take that too lightly. That they like to get those low ERAs. But the thing is, they have Chris Sale. And that's probably the saving grace for David Price, is that he is not the ace. Well, he's like the second ace. He's ace number 2 in that staff. You have Chris Sale in front of him, and he's having a pretty good season. I mean, if you're the Red Sox, you really can't complain. I mean, you're tied right now. You're 30. Your first team to 30 wins. You're 30-14. I mean, the Yankees, they haven't really been able to play. They're kind of stagnant right now due to some weather in DC. But they're the next team up. I mean, Houston has 28 wins, and so does the Yankees. But Houston's 28-17. The Yankees are 28-12. That means the Astros have played five more games than the Yankees. That's probably due to a lot of bad weather in the East Coast, and the Yankees having to have a lot of rainouts. But it is, I mean, if you're the Red Sox, you're sitting pretty right now. You're 40 games in, or whatever. It's 44 games in, and you finally kind of get one of your aces on track, as he was a Manny Machado home run away from getting a actual shutout, but it was still a complete game. Pitched very nicely in this one, as he I mean the Astros lineup, I mean, not the Astros, the Orioles lineup isn't like schlubby. It's not. It has some good bats in. You got Chris Davis, Mark Trumbo, Manny Machado, Adam Jones. I mean, there's some bats in that lineup. It's just they never really seem to string them together. Also, some pitching stuff issues. I mean, with that lineup, you think you could have actually a halfway decent team, but I mean, that is a last place team. The Orioles are 13-30. We'll see how long Buck Showalter lasts. I know if you watch the game last night, or you saw any of the highlights, you saw when Xander Bogaerts hit a home run. Buck Showalter was already halfway to the mound, so I mean that's pretty interesting. Bogaerts was rounding third base, and I think Buck crossed the foul line before he even came down the third baseline, which is pretty interesting. So whether he's trying to save time there or was just disgusted in the fact that his pitcher gave up an absolute bomb that was hit off the light tower in left field for the Red Sox, as you saw. I mean, Buck was just running out to the mound. He beat Bogaerts before he crossed over the line before Bogaerts even got there. It's pretty funny. But yeah, no, Red Sox, I mean, David Price is all about getting that fastball location. He has the good off-speed pitches, but if he can locate that fastball on the corners, if he's not wild, he doesn't have to rely. The thing is, he can get predictable in hitters' counts, and he can kind of lay that fastball over. If he can get his timing down. Still pretty tough against lefties. As I'm going to let's look at his splits really quick here. But I mean, after this game, it'll probably look a little bit better. I mean, that 2-run blemish, you kind of have to wish that you didn't do that. That didn't happen. But you still like get those wins wherever you can. All right, let's see here. 2018 splits versus lefties. So I mean, he's actually better against righties than he's against lefties. Right now, he's got a 5.63 ERA against lefties, 4.15 batting average ERA against righties, which is interesting because I mean, usually when you're a lefty, you can have more success against the same thing. So lefty versus lefty. That's why it's tougher to hit off of a lefty if you're left-handed. So that's pretty interesting that that's the case there for Price. But I mean, pitching pretty much the same as he is at home and road, no difference. A little better in day games, but that's kind of splicing the hairs right there. But yeah, no, it's surprising actually. I thought that he'd be a little bit better against lefties, but he's quite worse actually, almost a full run worse per 9 innings. His ERA, where is that versus lefty? Yeah, his ERA is almost a run and a half worse against lefties. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. I don't know if I don't have my batting average against, which is a little easier to get. Yeah, there we go. But that's weird though, because lefties are hitting 194 against him and righties are hitting 248. So I mean, what's the deal there? But I guess people are. Yeah, that's why you don't look at ERA versus lefties and righties. You look at the batting average against. That's why that stat makes more sense. Yeah. Lefties are hitting under 200, but righties are hitting almost 250 against him. So, yeah, that makes more sense. Okay. I wasn't crazy. I'm like, wait, why is that ERA so crazy? Because people probably on base. There's more lefties hitting in the middle of orders for people. Those are power hitters, and they probably get base hits that knock in runs. Yeah, so it's batting average against makes a little more specific stat there. So if you want to look at if you want to look at splits for a pitcher, that's what you want to look at more often than not. All right. But yeah, David Price, I think he's definitely up and down. He's just playing he got that big contract. I don't think he's ever going to live up to it. That's the problem. I mean, you're looking for a guy who's going to, he got the World Series in 2013. I don't think he was kind of a bit, I guess he was a bit of a big part for it. I can look up his stats from the 2013 World Series or postseason. But I mean, that Red Sox team was pretty stacked. And I mean, just like they're stacked right now, they're pretty stacked at this point too. I mean, you got to give them credit. They developed really good young players as well. They get Mookie Betts developed, that's homegrown. Xander Bogaerts, whether it was through a trade, but he came up through their minor league system. So did Rafael Devers and Brock Holt. I mean, the only guys that really they were able to lure over through free agency was Hanley Ramirez, David Price, and Chris Sale was a trade. So I mean, just looking at their lineup right now, in general, I mean, you got Sandy Leone, that's Jackie Bradley Jr., homegrown, Betts, Benintendi. I mean, but yeah, basically everybody but JD Martinez and Hanley Ramirez, your 3 and 4 hitters. JD and Hanley Ramirez are the only two guys you really lured over through free agency. Everybody else is a young player that the Red Sox homegrown grew up themselves through their minor league system and were able to, whether they acquired them as prospects through trades or they drafted them themselves, doesn't really matter. But they definitely played in in Pawtucket. They played for the Red Sox farm teams, and they came up when they were ready, and they're showing out now. That it's good to see that Xander Bogaerts is healthy and swinging it again. He was 2 for 4 yesterday with 3 RBIs and a run scored. All right, that's enough on the Red Sox, as we're going to come back and talk about the Rockies and the Pirates, a couple teams that are hot right now. One team is in first, looking to hold off the team in second. One team is in second, looking to knock off the team in first. So we'll talk about them when we come back, so stay tuned.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
All right, welcome back to GSMC Baseball Podcast, as we're going to talk about a couple National League teams in this segment coming up here before we get into the games for this weekend in the final segment today, as we're going to talk about the Rockies and the Pirates. Pirates are a team, remember that they're the team they traded Andrew McCutcheon, they Garrett Cole went away via trade. They got some good young guys. I mean, I think their biggest, you can say what you will about those trades. Yeah, they get some good prospects for the future. They got George Contos from the Giants, helps out their bullpen. But yeah, no, I think the best thing they did, the best move they made was the signing of Corey Dickerson. Once Dickerson was cut from the Rays, I think that snapping him up was very much a good idea there for the Pirates, as obviously they are really going for that. I mean, this is the thing. What they're doing is they're going with this combination of analytics, youth, and then obviously Clint Hurdle being a very good and old school manager in the major leagues. I mean, I don't know if I would quite say Hall of Fame yet, but he's been manager of the year multiple times and such. I'm trying to see who the Giants traded over for McCutcheon before, as it was Kyle Crick and Brian Reynolds, actually. So that's two big guys for the Giants, actually. Knowing them, I follow the Giants farm system pretty well. Brian Reynolds was one of their top draft picks out of Vanderbilt last year, or 2 years ago, as they picked him in the second round last year, or 2016 that was, when they picked him. So pretty big deal. And then Kyle Crick has been a big arm in their farm system for quite a while. Didn't really ever break it into the major leagues as well as they thought. So maybe that's why he was expendable and thought to be expendable for the Giants. But McCutcheon, I mean, he's been a good addition for the Orange and Black. However, his former team, the Pirates, have quite a better record than the Giants right as of now. Giants have had some injury issues where the Pirates have been healthy. Obviously, Jemison Tyone had an issue, but he came back, obviously, after that cut did heal, and he's been pitching very nicely. But as far as the Pirates, I mean, looking at their team stats and everything, where they stand right now, I mean, they're kind of just doing everything. They have, obviously, Marte and Polanco as the stalwarts in that lineup. You got a good veteran catcher in Francisco Cervelli, is very good at managing that young pitching staff. You got Tyone pitching very well. You got Cool pitching well. And even a couple other guys, as I'm looking at their rotation right now. I mean, when you were looking at it before the season started, like, okay, who's that guy? Who's that guy? Who's that guy? Well, they're actually very, very good starting pitchers. I mean, you got Ivan Nova coming over from the Yankees. He's actually probably one of their least pitchers that are performing the least well, actually, just in general. Cool only was able to go a few innings yesterday. But just looking at their outlook right now, again, they're playing the Padres right now as they have not announced a starter actually for Saturday. So maybe they're a little more in flux with their rotation than I think. But it's still, I mean, when you're 20, what are they? 27-19 or 27-16? 26-17. I was off by one. 26-17. 1 game away from being 10 games over 500, and you're playing the Padres right now, so you probably have a chance of definitely doing that coming up here. But no, yeah, I like how the way they're looking. They're obviously looking at their lineup. When you have Dickerson, you got Marte, and I like Josh Bell. Obviously, Josh Bell flew under the radar because if there was no Cody Bellinger or there was no Kyle Seager, he'd be talked about as one of the best young prospects coming up, or best young. I don't call him a prospect anymore because he's definitely cemented himself in this lineup, bad and forth. I mean, he's only hitting 269 right now, but he seems to have clutch hits every time. I mean, they just came through. I watched him closely when they had that series with the Giants at home. It seemed like every time he came up, he was hitting gap shots, line drives, and hitting well. As he's right now, he only has 3 home runs. He's in 269 with 3 home runs, but 26 RBIs and a 775 OPS, which is nice for him right now. As he's got already nine doubles on the year for him and 2 triples, so that's pretty good for Bell as he coming into this still a young season. I mean, we're a quarter of the way through, but still young. It's still long. Wait till middle of July, August, and we'll see. Okay, yeah, we're still playing baseball. It's still a long season, but yeah, I mean this lineup right now. I mean, you got their young second baseman. Max Moroff is got him leading off. Polanco hitting 2, Cervelli in the 3 hole actually right now because he's hitting he is one of the better averages on the team at 296. Dickerson does lead the team in hitting at 316. Corey Dickerson, the guy that the Rays let go. You think the Rays could have used Corey Dickerson? He had 316 with 5 home runs, 28 RBIs. I mean, that's some production right there out of your left field spot. So I mean, I liked Corey Dickerson. I kind of wished my Giants got him, but it's all right. Pirates snagged him up. Giants didn't need any outfield help or anything. We'll get to them. Probably do a segment on them sometime throughout the show, throughout this month or maybe next month. We'll get over there as maybe. I mean, we kind of do the same routine every time, but maybe I'll go division by division like I did from some of my other shows. But yeah, with this Pirates team. Remains to be seen if their bullpen can hold up. Obviously, their bullpen is what got them the win yesterday, as they were able to hold off San Diego after taking that one run lead in the 7th inning. So, Pirates, we'll see. They're in a tough division. Obviously, you got the Brewers right behind them. I think they're only a half game back right now. Yeah, 26-18. Cubs and Cardinals are both playing all right. Cubs are still kind of teetering around. I mean, they're around 500. They're 22-18 right now, with the Cardinals at 23-18. So Cubs have a few teams in the way. We'll see if the Pirates can hold on the rest of the season. Speaking of going the other way, not holding on. I mean, the Diamondbacks are the ones that are having to hold on right now. In the NL West, obviously, lots of time to go before we have to talk about any kind of coming down to the wire when it comes to the races. But Diamondbacks were sitting at, 10 games over 500 right now. They're 7 games over 500. They're 3-7 in their last 10. So coming down to the earth a little bit, as they have the Rockies hot on their heels at only a game and a half back right now, 24-20. The Rockies are coming off the win to start off that 4-game series in San Francisco last night. So if you're the Rockies, you got to like that. Hopefully the trend stays the same for you guys. As that lineup's always been a hitting lineup. Right now they're not hitting as much. They're definitely pitching though. Chad Bettis had a nice start yesterday against the Giants. I wouldn't call the Giants aren't light hitting as they used to be, but last night they were. Brandon Belt did hit a home run for the 4th game in a row in the loss though for the Giants. But it was a well-fought game. They went 12 innings. But the Rockies, this is for the first meeting against San Francisco this year. He played pretty well. Looking at their lineup right now, you still have, obviously, an MVP candidate in Blackman not hitting as much as he usually is. Arenado's well over 300. He's right where he should be, probably maybe a little more home runs, as right now he's got 8 on the year, so that's about right. And then Trevor Story's hot too, so his average isn't really where you want it to be, but he's got 8 home runs too, or 10 home runs in the season with 32 RBIs. So good production there out of your 5 spot. I've never been not a fan. I've always liked the Rockies lineup, however they figure it out. Right now, Blackman, Parra, Arenado, Carlos Gonzalez, Story, Desmond's a pretty good top 1 through 6, and then you can figure out as we go. Obviously, right now, DJ LeMahieu is on the disabled list as they have their the young second baseman Daniel Castro stepping in for him right now. We'll see when LeMahieu came. I think he came off the DL, then went back on the DL. I was having had some issues there for the All-Star second baseman for the Rockies. But always a team that you think would be playing better at home than on the road. Right now, they actually have a better home record by far. Well, they play a lot more home games. They play a lot more road games anyways. They were 17-19 on the road and only 7-11 at home. So they've only played 18 home games. They've already won 17 road games. So they played 26 road games already over against 18 home games. So they'll probably get a lot of more home games as we get through the summertime, and which is only a good thing for the Rockies. They play really well, and when that ball that it really gets that much hotter in Denver, but they're already high up. They're really high up enough in the altitude and the elevation to make that ball fly out anyways. And when those teams get into the long stretches, those bullpens get taxed. Those starters get a little more tired. The leaving pitches up in the zone. That's only going to help the Rockies in that launch angle. The whole phenomenon of the whole launch angle and exit velocity, hitting fly balls hard. That will lead to probably a bunch of bombs, bunch of homers in at Coors Field that through the rest of the season as this team continues to roll on. I would not be surprised. Obviously, last year they did get into the wild card game against the Diamondbacks. Actually, didn't last very long because they didn't win the wild card game. But right now, only teams right now. The top 2 teams in the wild card are the Phillies and the Brewers. Rockies are 2 games back behind a couple other teams as well. So, everybody all bunched up right now in the standings anyways. You got 4 teams in the Central that are all within 2 games of each other. I think the East is pretty similar, probably 3 teams with the Nationals, Braves, and Phillies all jumbled up there at the top. Yeah, they're all 2 games away from each other. Even in the West, Giants in 3rd place right now are 4 games back. So, do my AL Central check right now. See where what's the record what's the winning percentage of the team in first place? Oh, it's 500. The Cleveland Indians are 21-21, and they're in first place by a game and a half. Go figure. The Tigers actually 3 games under 500, 20-23. Playing actually pretty good. They've already got 20 wins, which is nice for the Tigers. They were pretty deep in the cellar last year, as they are 2nd place, game and a half back. The Indians should take it that way. I saw an infographic yesterday. It's like, if the season ended today, just so we chalk it up, obviously it'd be Braves, Diamondbacks, Pirates in the National League as division winners. One of them is actually could have been predicted. The Diamondbacks, as they didn't make the playoffs last year, but the Pirates were not supposed to be in that position. Obviously, they were supposed to be down to the bottom with the Reds because of the fire sale they did, quote unquote. And then the Braves were everybody thought they were maybe a couple years away with all that young talent they have, but everybody's hitting home now. As you have obviously these 20 and 21 year olds. I think Acuna is even is at 19. I think, or close to it. I think Albies is 20. Acuna is 21. But they're already playing well enough already. And then obviously on the wild card side, it'd be the Phillies and the Nationals for the National League, or Phillies and the Brewers. Actually, the Nationals would be on the outside, are on the outside looking in right now. So Phillies and the Brewers. Brewers, I do think actually will end up getting a wild card spot in the National League, whether it's going to be with the Phillies or with the Nationals. It's going to be tough for an American League West team to get in there. National League West team to get in there, whether it's going to be the Giants or Rockies or whatever. But I bet you, I mean, right as of now, assuming the Pirates and the Braves and the Phillies, all teams that are deemed to be one team's not supposed to be, it's supposed to be rebuilding, the Pirates, but the Phillies and the Braves have been rebuilding the last few years, and they're supposed to be maybe a year or two away, both of them, and they're both playing really well now. So if they stay where they are now, you could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams fighting for 5 spots. So we'll find out. That's why this baseball season is so awesome, and it's a long haul, though. You got to be able to have this success and sustain it for 162 games. That's a lot baseball, but we love it, and we'll see. Obviously, that's a whole different conversation as well when it comes to seeing if the season should be cut down a little bit. I could even go through a whole show and give you my opinion on that, but that's for a different episode. So we'll cut it right now. At the end of this segment, we'll come back in just a moment with the preview for the weekend, and then we'll send you guys off until Monday to have a nice weekend of baseball. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with the preview for the weekend.
Want to know the latest in soccer? Then listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. From MLS, the World Cup, and the Premier League, we've got you covered. The latest updates, the hottest matches, and news on the league's top players. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
David Beckham scores the goal to take England all the way to the World Cup finals.
Listen now.
Welcome back, GSMC Baseball Podcast. Final segment of the day today, final segment of the week of this GSMC Baseball Podcast, as we're going to go through the games for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday really quickly, as I'm just going to pick out some pitching performances that I want to highlight, some big matchups coming up this weekend, as we have the Dodgers and the Nationals starting a series in D.C. Hopefully the weather will clear up for this one, as the Dodgers come cross country to face the Nationals. It'll be the first game starting today on a Friday. Ross Stripling and Max Scherzer. Still pitching mighty well for the Nationals, as he is 7-1 with a 1.69 ERA, and obviously he was supposed to pitch yesterday, as they had the postponement with the Yankees, as he'll have to wait and see if he can get another shot there, as they will probably be making that up during an off day sometime coming up in the future. Obviously, those teams don't play each other very often in the interleague. Ross Stripling will be going for the Dodgers, as he is 0-1 right now with a 2.2 ERA. That's with starts and appearances in the bullpen. 3 starts and the rest over 15. So 12 in the bullpen, 3 in starting. So Stripling pitching well as well, but not quite as well as Scherzer, as obviously he'll have a test coming up today in DC. Pittsburgh Pirates and these Padres, it'll be Ivan Nova and Tyson Ross, both right-handers looking for their third win on the year. Both are 2-3. Ross with a 3.40 ERA, 53 strikeouts. Nova 5.01 ERA with a 39 strikeouts for him. As like I said, they both look for their third win on the year. And Ross actually getting in that rotation, did sign a non-roster deal with the Padres, but getting in there and has been pitching well in his starts, as he's looking to continue to be the anchor for that Padres rotation. All right, keep looking over here, as we have. It'll be a Jacob deGrom start in New York, as the Mets will welcome in the Arizona Diamondbacks for a weekend series. Diamondbacks will have Zach Godley on the mound, as he looking for his 5th win on the year. He's 4-2 with a 4.08 ERA, 43 strikeouts. DeGrom still perfect 3-0, looking for his 4th win with a 1.83 ERA, 56 strikeouts for the Mets ace right-hander, or their second ace. Obviously, they got another one as well to Syndergaard. In Boston, it'll be Alex Cobb against Drew Pomeranz. The right-hander Cobb looking for his first win on the year still. He's 0-5 with a 7.06 ERA. Has not pitched well in his first season with the Orioles, coming over from the Rays. Only 16 strikeouts on the year for him. Pomeranz 1-1 with a 5.47 ERA, 26 strikeouts for the Boston left-hander. In Cincinnati, it'll be John Lester going for the Cubs against Homer Bailey for the Reds. Lester 3-1 with a 2.66 ERA, 36 strikeouts, as he'll be his 9th start of the season. He was supposed to pitch in Atlanta. Obviously, the game there was postponed as well. Homer Bailey is 1-5 with a 5.59 ERA, 29 strikeouts on the year. Got his first win of the year on Saturday. That was against the Dodgers, where they swept them. Dan Straley will be going for the Marlins against Sean Newcomb for the Braves, as that series will get started in Atlanta. Hopefully, again, the weather clears for that one. Newcomb 4-1 with a 2.51 ERA, pitching very nicely, as he has a streak of 20 consecutive scoreless innings going right now, as he'll look to face the Marlins again for the second time in a row. All right, it'll be Steve Clevenger against Charlie Morton. Actually, a little bit of an underrated, not really the biggest names you'll see out there, but these guys are both undefeated on the year. Morton is 5-0 with a 2.03 ERA, 62 strikeouts, and Clevenger 3-0 with a 2.70 ERA, 44 strikeouts. So actually, a very nice pitching performance set up there in Houston, Astros and Indians, as a pair of first-place teams will go at it there in Texas. It'll be keep looking at this. We have a CC Sabathia will be going for the Yankees in Kansas City against Jacob Junis for the Royals. Sabathia 2-0 with a 2.23 ERA, 28 strikeouts. Junis 4-3 with a 3.53 ERA, 45 strikeouts for him. Jake Arrieta will be going against Michael Wacha in St. Louis, Phillies and Cardinals. Wacha 4-1 with a 3.09 ERA and 36 strikeouts. Arrieta 3-1 with a 2.59 ERA, 27 strikeouts, as he has been good in his last two outings, but got no decisions as the bullpen was not able to hold it for him at neither time. It'll be Michael Fulmore and Felix Hernandez going in Seattle Tigers and Mariners in the final game there on a Friday. All right. Continuing on the Saturday games quickly as we're rolling along here in this final segment. It'll be John Gray against Chris Stratton in the San Francisco Rockies and Giants, as they get a day baseball game on Saturday going. In this one, Stratton is 4-3 with a 4.88 ERA. Gray 4-5 with a 4.85 ERA. Very similar for those guys as they both go for their fifth win. A bunch of different teams have not announced starters either. It'll be Kyle Hendricks going for the Cubs. He is yet to find out who he'll be facing, or his counterpart will be on the mound for the Reds. Hendricks 3-3 with a 3.20 ERA. In the nation's capital in D.C., it'll be the Dodgers and the Nationals again. Rich Hill against Tanner Roark. Hill is 1-2 with a 6.20 ERA. Roark 2-3 with a 3.33 ERA for him. It'll be another great pitching matchup in Houston for the second game in a row. Corey Kluber going against Dallas Keuchel, a pair of Cy Young Award winners going at Minute Maid Park. It'll be Kluber 6-2, 2.34 ERA, 61 strikeouts against Keuchel, who's 3-5 with a 3.10 ERA. He's got the ERA down nicely with 45 strikeouts for the Astros left-hander. Looking at the right here, Luis Severino for the Yankees against Danny Duffy for the Royals. As look at their records, kind of reverse. Is Severino 6-1, Danny 1-5. Severino is a 2.14 ERA, 70 strikeouts. Duffy with a 6.51 ERA, 41 strikeouts for the Royals left-hander. Mike Fiers will be going up against James Paxton of the Mariners. Did have a no decision in the game after his no-hitter in Toronto. Paxton did. He's coming back now and he'll be facing a Tigers lineup. The left-hander is 2-1 with a 2-1 with a 3.52 ERA, 71 strikeouts. Fiers 4-2 with a 4.23 ERA, 26 strikeouts on the year. All right, that's going to do it. As a couple of different guys are going to be. Oh, actually, one more good pitching performance. One more decent pitching performance. Actually, there's a couple more I want to talk about on the Saturday. It is Dylan Bundy actually going for the Orioles against Rick Porcello, a pair of aces. I keep saying aces for the Red Sox. They have a bunch of them. Porcello finally took his first loss last start against the A's. He's 5-1 with a 3.28 ERA, 54 strikeouts. Bundy 2-5 with a 4.53 ERA. Still has an ERA. It's a little balloon due to that one start where he gave up the 10 runs in the first inning. That was pretty rough. 4 home runs in the first inning was pretty rough. But he's had some middling success against the Red Sox. He's 3-5 with a 4.66 ERA in his 13 career starts against the Red Sox. So we'll see how he fares tomorrow. All right, one more. Patrick Corbin against Steven Matz in New York. Diamondbacks and Mets, as the left-hander for the Diamondbacks is 4-1 with a 2.53 ERA. Matz, another left-hander, is going for the Mets as he is 1-3 with a 3.86 ERA, 34 strikeouts. So battle of the lefties there in Flushing. All right, going to Sunday. I don't know. We'll see how many teams actually have announced starters for this day. Actually, a little better. It'll be Shohei Ohtani against. There's one of the games they have not announced. It'll be TBD. So we don't know yet who's pitching for the Rays on Sunday, but he'll be facing Shohei Ohtani, who's 3-1 with a 3.58 ERA on the year. And 43 strikeouts for the Angels right-hander. It'll be Wei-Yin Chen against Julio Teheran in Atlanta. Marlins and Braves will finish up that series on Sunday. Teheran 4-1 with a 3.49 ERA. Chen 1-2 with a 7.56 ERA. Look to get that down in D.C. It'll be Alex Wood against Steven Strasburg. The left-hander for the Dodgers still looking for his first win. He's 0-4 with a 3.35 ERA, 247 strikeouts. Steven Strasburg 5-3 with a 3.28 ERA, 68 strikeouts for him. Dodgers and Nationals. It'll be Sonny Gray against Skoglund for the Royals. Eric Skogland's 1-3 with a 5.58 ERA, 32 strikeouts. Sonny Gray 2-3 with a 6.39 ERA. Looking to still get that down. Did not pitch very well against the A's his last time out. 32 strikeouts there for Gray. Continue to look. It'll be Aaron Nola for the Phillies against the young Jack Flaherty for the Cardinals. He's getting another start there in the Cardinals red there. Still looking for his first win in the MLB. Nolan pitching very nicely. Is basically an ace now for the Phillies. Is becoming one of the better pitchers in baseball. 6-1 with a 1.99 ERA, 51 strikeouts for the Phillies right-hander. And then in Houston, honestly, that's why these two teams are top of their division, the Astros and the Indians. They can pitch. And we're going to have another great pitching matchup for you on Sunday. And it'll be the Sunday Night Baseball game on ESPN. The Cleveland Indians against the Houston Astros. Carlos Carrasco going for the Indians against Lance McCullers Jr. for the Astros. Both are 5-2. Both have a 3.6. Carrasco is 3.66 and McCullers is 3.63 ERA. Look at the strikeouts too. This is crazy. I don't think I've seen a stat line this close. So both are 5-2. Both have a 3.6 and change ERA, and Carrasco has 57 strikeouts. McCullers has 58. So that is crazy how close that is, and we'll see if that ends up coming to great game comes to fruition. All these games. So you got Clevenger. What was it? Clevenger and Morton on Friday, Kluber and Keuchel on Saturday, and then Carrasco and McCullers on Sunday. So if you like pitching, and both these teams can hit too, so it'll be fun to watch. Both these teams got some serious bats in their lineup and can hit the long ball as well, and be playing in Minute Maid Park, which gives up a lot of home runs as well. So we'll be seeing how these teams play against each other. Obviously, could be a ALCS preview, could be ALDS preview, depending on how these two teams finish up in the season. But both teams are probably destined for the playoffs. Both have very good chances, especially in the divisions they play in. Angels will probably say something about that if I talk about the AL West. But in the AL Central, it's pretty much the Indians or nothing there in the Central. West has a little bit more to be desired, as we'll see how the Angels fare. Maybe they'll get a wild card spot, but I think the Astros will end up pulling away with that division as well. All right. One more as I'm looking as it'll be another great pitching matchup is going to be in New York. Zach Greinke against Noah Syndergaard. Greinke is 3-2 with a 3.46 ERA. Syndergaard 3-1 with a 3.14 ERA for the Mets, as they both look for their fourth win on the year there in that final game. That'll be Sunday morning in New York. Well, for them, it's 10 a.m. Pacific time. Sunday morning for me, it'll be a 1 o'clock start for those guys out there. Syndergaard, 61 strikeouts. Another look at that. Another one with very similar stats. And Greinke with 59 strikeouts, or 58 strikeouts, that is. And they're very close ERA and very close on record, too. So, interesting there. All right, that'll wrap it up for the show today, as we did go over the games from Thursday and Wednesday and Thursday, and then I talked about the David Price, talked about the Pirates, Rockies a little bit, talked about just division races now, 40 games in, looking at this, see what teams are going to keep it going, what teams are maybe sneaking up, starting to get hot, and then also looked at the pitching matchups, as we have a bunch of good ones, especially, just look at that Astros and Indian series, also the Dodgers playing in D.C., and Diamondbacks going to play the Mets in New York. So some good series coming up this weekend. Good baseball, as we'll be back on Monday to talk about all those. Can't wait to talk about that Astros and Indian series, as we'll be watching that closely. So everybody enjoy the weekend. Enjoy some baseball. We'll see you on Monday. Bye.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.